So, 2022 had a lot of games. Took 5 minutes for me to come up with that intro. But I want to talk about the top 5 games that I had for this particular year. And also a few honorable mentions. I kind of figured that'd be a fun video to do after not having one for like a year. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah, so this is going to be my own personal list of games that I would recommend or honorable mentions, just my personal opinion. Not like I'm a professional critic or gamer or anything like that, but, I kind of figured I want to talk about these games and I want to share it with you guys, so let's get started. Now, first of all, again, I want to start with honorable mentions. I tried to come up with 5, but really only 4 came to mind when it came to this. First things first. First things first, this is an honorable mention that came out like a decade ago, but this is the newest remaster, The Last of Us Part 1. Honestly, like I said, it's a game that came out like a decade ago, but now, now it's essentially been made with the same engine as The Last of Us 2, or at least that's what it looks like. So it looks interesting, and honestly, I'm a bit of a bougie bitch, so I'm probably going to pick it up at some point, but I just really didn't find any interest in paying full price for a game that came out already. So, But since the show's coming out, or probably by the time I am releasing this already came out, a lot more people are probably going to want to pick it up just to see how the game handled the same story. So that's why it's on the honorable mentions. Next up is Ghostwire Tokyo. Honestly, I don't know why I never picked this one up. I never found the time. I thought the reviews were pretty good for it, but for some reason I just never, ever, decided to get it. I don't have a good reason, but it looks up my alley, Essentially, a completely abandoned Tokyo is populated only with ghosts, and I don't know much else to the story. It just looks cool. That's why I wanted to put it on this list. I should have checked it out, but I never did, so oh well. Next one is A Plague Tale Requiem. Actually, I am playing that right now, but I kind of didn't want to put it on this list. A, because I feel like if I waited, then this video won't go out till like March. And I'm already trying very hard to try and get this video up by February. It takes me forever to finish a video. But hey, I just want to put it on the list as an honorable mention. So far, I'm really liking it. It's a beautiful game. Also really messed up. Like, I started playing the Plague Tale series so I can start playing this because I heard it was so good. And all I can ask myself sometimes is, Devs, are you okay? Do you need a friend? You want to talk? It's all right. Wow, this is fucked up. Ooh. Next on the honorable mentions is Lego Star Wars: A Skywalker Saga. I did not play this game myself, but Jen did. And I got to see her play it. And it just looked really fun, an abridged version of all 9 episodes. All the planets that you can travel, a whole bunch of collectibles. Looks really entertaining, and, it looks really fun. I have fun watching her play. So I didn't play it myself. That's why I didn't want to put it on my top 5. But it's a fun game, so I would recommend that one. And then the last one. Wait. That is 5. Sweet. But anyway, the last one on my list is Need for Speed Unbound. I had a lot of fun with Need for Speed Unbound, actually. I didn't think I would because I tried out Need for Speed Heat, and it didn't really grab me. I got really into racing games last year at some point, but Need for Speed Unbound, I had a great time. I love how colorful it is. I love the art style as far as the characters and all the graffiti effects when you're riding. I do kind of wish that the world was a little bit more cartoonish. They still went for a hyper-realistic style, but the characters were cartoony. But, still, even so, it's a beautiful looking game and really fun. And the cop chases are fun in this one. I didn't enjoy them in Heat, but I enjoyed them in this. So, really fun. Anyway, that is enough for my honorable mentions. Now I'm going to get into the top 5 games of the year for me. This is, again, my opinion. Everyone, there's a whole different bunch of game of the years, someone's favorite games. And my list, I can't help but feel like where I chose might be controversial for some people. I don't really know. But again, I just figured I'd put this out there because I just wanted to talk about these games. A lot of them are they're all very good in their own way. And I just wanted to let you guys know about them. But my number 1 game of the year is probably it's both probably exactly what you would expect it to be for me, and also not what everyone else chose. No. I can't help but feel like I might disappoint a few people for what's on my fifth on the top five, essentially the lowest on this list, which is still a very good game, but you know, I'm just gonna get into it. So number 5, Elden Ring. Now I know you're surprised it's not the top. That's number 5 on your list? Oh please, that's the greatest game of all time. How dare you? Oh, was it too hard for you? Why was this number 5? I can't believe it. Pathetic. You're trash. Are you done? Great. Anyway, so the reason why it's on 5 of my top 5 is that it is a very good game, and the devs should be very proud of what they've made. But personally, it didn't really. I've never really been too into FromSoft games, or at least not as much as a lot of people tend to be or seem to be. I can't explain it. Like the whole hyper hard bosses and everything, and like anything killing you at any time. It's a fun experience. I do enjoy the Souls games and whatnot. But frankly, it's just never really been a thing for me. I only recently played them a couple of years ago, so I never really grew up with them. So I don't know if maybe that's it. But honestly, frankly, at a certain point, I stopped finding these games enjoyable, if that makes any sense. Like, personally with Elden Ring, it's a beautiful game, don't get me wrong. Like, it's a huge world, big glowing tree, like all these biomes, a whole bunch of bosses and whatever, and you can level yourself up like crazy. But I don't know, man, after a few weeks, once it started becoming the last part of the game, or my own last part, because I definitely didn't take on every single boss. I tried to take on as many as possible until, honestly, I started getting tired of it. And I was like, okay, I think I'm done. And then I went to the final boss and I finished the game. And even that final boss took hours, and I was screaming my head off. And honestly, I don't know why that seems fun. Like, yeah, I can get angry and scream at games, but not as much as I do with Souls games, especially towards the end. So I don't really know. And I've considered whether or not I was ever going to go back, but I never did. And I kind of feel like there's a reason for that. It's a great game, really. And, I'm sorry it's on 5 of my top 5, but I just, it's really good. They should be proud of what they've done. Hell, they got a whole bunch of Game of the Years. They're not going to really be bothered by just some lowly little YouTuber that has like a couple of hundred subscribers saying that, like, I didn't enjoy it as much as other people seem to have. But, I digress. And would I recommend this to people? Honestly, it would depend. I know a lot of people say this is probably the most welcoming of, like, the Soulsborne genre, but I don't know, man. Like, at least most of the friends I know, I don't think I'd recommend this to them because it's just it can get really hard and just angering and annoying. I don't know. Like, I guess if you really want to get into that challenging situation and you're down for it for the long haul, check it out. If you haven't already, you probably have. But if not, then maybe you're not into it. And I don't blame you for that. Next up on number 4 is Sifu. Now, I know this is another challenging game, but the beauty of this one is it's not nearly as long. And it has this incredible style all on its own. And also the benefit is too, I don't think it released originally this way, but it has different difficulty settings. So if you want to play it easier, it's a lot less of a punishing experience. Still a challenge, just not as hard as the original mode. I actually played this game personally like twice. Or 4 times, because actually you have to play the game twice to get the full story. So I played it. I had my first playthrough on the easiest setting because I wanted to get all the trophies. By the way, from this point forward, I've played all of these games on my PS5, and I've platinumed every single one. So, like another testament as to why I think these games were really good. I wanted to make sure I got all the awards for playing it. So, and not for nothing, platinuming this was a challenge. I got to do most of it on my first playthrough where I played on the easiest setting, mainly so I could experience like just the world, because honestly, the art style in this game is great. It's so good. The combat is amazing. It simultaneously makes you feel like a huge badass, but also an idiot. Like, oh man, even on the easiest setting, sometimes I die. And never mind on when I played it on the normal setting. But, still, it just felt really good going past each, level, each section. And like I said, it's not, and the beauty of this one, it is challenging. And yes, I got angry while playing this a few times, but honestly, it felt gratifying, and it was also really quick. Even with all the challenge, it's not a very long game, even though it does it does beg for the idea of replayability, whether or not it be for the story or if you want to see if you can do it on a harder setting. Visually, it's just really pretty to look at. The whole every time you die you come back older mechanic is really interesting. Again, if you play it easier, you only kind of age a year at a time, so it takes you longer to get there. But if you play on a harder setting, the more you die, the quicker you age. And I gotta say, like, the first time I played it on the harder difficulty, when I got to the last part of the game, I was in my late 40s, so that was definitely a challenge, especially considering how much of a dick that last boss is. But still, it was a very gratifying experience. Again, this one is a bit of a challenge, so, maybe if you want to check that out, just know that going in, but it is one I find very rewarding. And again, there's an easier mode, so, maybe you can play it that way and you'll enjoy this game thoroughly. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You can play it however hard you want. So it's a fun game. Definitely check it out. Number 3 is Stray. It's a cat. I don't think I need to really explain any further. We might as well move on. Cat game? A cat game is better than Elden Ring? Are you serious? Oh, please. Elden Ring's the best. It's incredible. How dare you? Cat game. Ugh. Okay, fine. I'll get into why that's number 3 on my list. Can you please get out of my house? So anyway, this game is actually this game is also very short. I mean, there's a trophy wherein the game challenges you to speedrun it and beat it in an hour and a half, and obviously that is possible. But it's also just so interesting. Like, yes, you are playing a cat, and through, like, the mannerisms, the walking, the scratching the post, sleeping, it's a cat. You're like, it really, I don't know how to explain it, but if you've been a cat owner, and I have been, like, you could tell this is a cat. This is generally, you're playing a cat, a very smart cat. I'll tell you that much. An incredibly intelligent cat, but a cat nonetheless. And also, the world is so interesting. You end up falling into an enclosed city, and you're trying to get out and also get back to your family, and you find this city is populated by robots. And then throughout the story, you uncover what happened to the city, why it was like this, what happens to your companion that you meet up with later on. It's just so interesting. I thought the lore and the world was so cool, and I loved every minute of it. And it wasn't long. It was a very short game, but I loved every minute of it. It's so cool. And honestly, especially like if you don't have too much time to get into like a really long game, I definitely would recommend this. I would just recommend this generally. It wouldn't take too much of your time, and it's just a really fun and cool world. And I think this was actually the first game this developer has ever made, and that's impressive. Like, this game was nominated for Game of the Year multiple times, and there's a good reason for that. So I definitely can't wait to see what else these guys make. So now moving on to number 2 on my list, which is Horizon Forbidden West. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of feel bad for Horizon, frankly. I can't help but feel like it's always the bridesmaid of the bride. You know what I mean? Like, it always comes out, and then the game that's likely going to be Game of the Year comes out the week after. Like, how do you get that luck twice? Seriously. And on top of that, this game had 2 games that were likely going to hit Game of the Year. We'll get into that last one, obviously. But I didn't feel bad because I think this game is excellent. I love it. It's bigger, more vibrant. There are more environments, more towns and cities. The combat's more titans. There's more robot monsters for you to fight. I felt the story was engaging. I know some people thought it was a bit messy, but I didn't. I thought it was great. It was such a fun game, and I loved every minute of me playing it. I don't know, like, it's so cool and fun, and, you get past the whole what happened in, Horizon Zero Dawn and how the world ended up like this. It's just a really cool game, but with its own mysteries that you have to unlock, and I really can't wait for the next one. I can't help but feel bad, man. I feel like in another year, this would win Game of the Year for a lot of reasons, but, not this year, and I'm sorry about that. But genuinely, it is an excellent game. If you have, a PlayStation, obviously check it out. You probably have, but still, I recommend it highly, highly. And now the final one, my personal Game of the Year, goes to God of War Ragnarok. Now, to a degree, that doesn't come exactly as a surprise. A lot of people expected if Game of the Year for a lot of sites wasn't going to go to Elden Ring, it would have gone to God of War. And frankly, it's for good reason. And honestly, for me, this was a much better experience than Elden Ring. It's just like, and it's, it's more than just the gameplay, which is absolutely a lot more tightened to the first one than the first one. But like, you can see every realm. You can, you get more weapons. It's a bigger game, a bigger story. But honestly, it's even more than that. The story is so enticing. The characters are so incredible and fleshed out, and not just Kratos and Atreus, although them as well. But every character felt like they had an arc, that they had, motives and their own reasons to do what they do, and, have their own conclusion by the end. And sometimes it's not the happiest conclusion, but still, it's just so incredible. And the story with Kratos and Atreus is honestly so beautiful. This game, honestly, I don't remember the last time a game made me do this, but this game genuinely made me cry. There was a scene that just really got to me. I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it. This game's still fairly new, but it's just such an incredible and emotional story. And honestly, like, I'm so amazed at how much this one and God of War 2018 turned me around as far as my opinion on Kratos. Like, playing the first 3 God of War games back in the day, I didn't really like him. I understood his rage. It's very justified, but in doing what he needed to do, he essentially destroys all of Greece. That's fucked up, And I couldn't really abide by that. But then seeing him in 2018 and Ragnarok, you could see how he's grown from that, how he regrets that, how he sees himself, and how he changes, not just for himself, but for his son. It's beautiful. Really, truly. Kratos has honestly become one of my favorite game characters of all time because of these 2 games. It's such an incredible achievement. And honestly, I don't even want to compare these games, whether or not I think either 2018 or Ragnarok are better, because frankly, I think they're just an experience that need to be experienced as one. It's just an incredible story and an incredible achievement. And I really could not recommend this game enough. Hell, I'm still thinking about it, and I beat it back in November. Like, it's just that good a game. I really cannot genuinely recommend this enough. It's so, so beautiful. Seriously. Anyway, that does end my list here for 2022. What do you guys think? Did you play any of these games? How much did you like them? What's your personal game of the year? Or if I've turned you to any of these games, I would love to know which one, because these are all great games I've recommended. And honestly, I can't wait for this year. So many games are going to be coming out. Jedi Survivor, Spider-Man 2, Redfall. I cannot wait to see what comes out this year. So we'll just have to wait and see. Please. That's going to be your game of the year? Guess what? Elden Ring's going to win game of the year this year too. Just you watch. It's going to win game of the year every single year for the next 5 years until FromSoft comes out with the next Elden Ring. Just you wait. Trash. You get good. How dare you? Gosh. Oh! I've been home alone too long.